This is an all singing and dancing G-Shock. It even has GPS, so it can navigate your backside out of most tricky situations. But it comes with a price. This vintage pullover also comes with a price. It also comes with a very basic time, date, and a very, very basic backlight. But there's one thing these two don't come with, and that is melody. So let me introduce you to 3 melody watches. I have the Templar, the Timex, and a ZEON. The first one I want to show you is this Timex Quartz. Now, this was the very first model that I bought with my own money back in the early 80s, so it's very special to have it in my hand. It wasn't easy to find, and it did take around about 5 years to find it. But now it's in my hand, I have to say, is it the same as it was back when I was in my teens? And the answer is absolutely. So the reason why I bought this Timex was basically for the melody alarm. And let me give you an example of this. There's just nothing quite like it. Even today, there is nothing that can touch that. Maybe your mobile device, but really something from the 80s that is really, really special. Back in the early 80s, these weren't expensive, probably because it used a brass case that was chrome plated. But let me show you all the quirks and details that this once offered and still does. First up is the measurements, and the case width is 33.5, but it is the thinness at 7.6 millimeters. The lug to lug width, it was very, very short, and it had some nice styling as well. Now looking on the front here, the display is quite big, and it is very close to the crystal. In fact, it does feel like that this LCD is on the outside, and at the top it has this vent or the grill, which is for the speaker. The bracelet is very tightly engineered, and it has one of these clasps at the back here where you just open it up and just hook out, and then it opens up to expose the back case. And there it is, assembled in Korea, and the only thing that's stainless steel apart from the bracelet is the back case. Let's have a little look at the display here. So we have the day of the week, we have the month, we have the date, which is nicely kept in a little box. There's a PM icon, there's a 24-hour. There's a little diver there, or swimmer. This is for the stopwatch. There's a timer, there's a lap. This little icon here is for the alarm, and this is for your hourly signal. And this is obviously the time with the counting seconds. There's 4 obvious buttons that control this watch. The top button here is your set or your adjust. This button up here also advances and does some adjustments. It also starts stop and turns the alarm on. This bottom button here is your light. It does the lap reset and it turns the alarm off. And this one is the more important one. It takes you through the modes. So in Homescreen, I'm able to turn the hourly signal on and off. So pay attention to this little icon here. By pressing this button, you can see that it fills it up. There's off and there's on. So yes, you can very easily knock that button and turn on the hourly signal. The light isn't too bad. It does display quite well in the dark. And with the set and the adjust button, it's just a simple press and it's flashing already. You can change the seconds. Now you can use the mode button here and go through the different adjustments. So there is the hours, then you can change the minutes. And yes, you can change the minutes individually, much like on vintage G-Shocks. And then there is the month, and there is the date, and there is the day of the week. And if pressing this button here, which is the advance, and this is what it means, it is advancing like so. And if you hold your finger down, it does nothing, so you have to do individual presses. And then pressing the mode again takes you back to the flashing seconds. So pressing the set or the adjust, it comes back into the time mode. Next, I'm going to take you through the modes. So pressing for the first one is the CH, and this is the chronograph. Simple start stop up here. Makes a nice little chirp, and it's a 1/100th of a second. It's counting the seconds, and this will count up to 60 minutes. The little diver there has now got a little flashing symbol, a little box around it, and I like that it has the time displayed now where the date was. So it's just a simple start stop, and when it's running I can press the light button and I will have lap, and now I have the box around there. Now the icon here is flashing, that box is also, so if I stop it, the box now comes away and this icon here is stopped. So there is my first lap time, pressing the light, second lap time, and pressing for the last time resets it. From stopwatch, the next mode is timer, and it's indicated up here with TR. Now this is a 12-hour timer, or basically it's 11 hours and 59 minutes and 59 seconds. So I need to press the set to be able to adjust it. So there I can adjust the hours, press the mode, and I can now adjust the minutes. So let me just make that 1 minute. So once you've got it set, you press set and it's ready to go. So that is just a simple start stop, and you notice that the timer now has the flashing box around it. So that's like so. Nice little chirp. But if I press the backlight, normally these reset. You need to press the set up the top here and then press again, and then it's zeroed off. From timer, the next mode is the alarm, and this is a daily alarm. So by pressing the set I can adjust the hours, and again I can adjust the minutes like so. So I'll just do a random time like so, and then when I press the set, watch the little icon here, the little alarm icon. It activates it straight away if I can get it out. And by pressing this top button up here, I can opt to have that off or on. So very easy indeed. So from the alarm, the next mode is T2, and that's basically the dual time. And here I have it on 24 hours. And this is the only place where you can adjust the 24-hour or to PM. So by pressing this button here, it swaps it over to PM. And note that it's also changed my home time up here. I'm going to do it again. So there's 24 hours and there's PM. And then by pressing set, I can adjust the hours and I can adjust the minutes separately as well. And that is all you get there. So from time 2 or dual time, pressing the mode button takes me back to home time. Now for the quirks on this watch. Now if I from the home screen go to the chronograph and start that, and then I'm going to go to the timer, just knock up 1 minute there and start that, and then going to come back to the home screen, and look, I actually have the indication that both the stopwatch or chronograph and the timer are running. How cool is that? So let me go back in, stop the chronograph, reset that, And there is the timer. Now I'm going to play the timer out because I want you to hear the tone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there it is, and it's quite loud. Now this alarm will sound for about 30 seconds, so very long indeed. And the only way to turn this off is by pressing the light button. There is no other option. Anyway, that is the Timex covered. Let's move on to the next melody. The next one is called a Templar, and I picked this up at a watch fair. Now I didn't pay very much for it because it wasn't working, but it didn't take much to get it going. Just a little soldering joint that needed doing and a new battery obviously, and it is firing up lovely. I must say that the display is completely different to that on the Timex. This does have a little bit of a texture at the back, and it does sort of sit further back into the watch. This part here next to Templar, where these grills are, these are fake, these are just printed, but you have the crystal that's covering all this area here, and I like that it has this little note bar there with the melody saying that it is an alarm chrono. The light button is up here, you have a mode, and you have these two buttons here, which I will show you later in the sort of tutorial of what it can do. Now for some measurements, and the width is 33.9 and the thickness is now up to 8 millimeters. The design on this one with regards to the lugs are much more simpler, plus the buttons are very tiny on this one. And looking on the back, you can see it has some ventilation, and no, this can't be used for a salt shaker. This is for the alarm to escape. So you can imagine the water resistant on this is absolutely useless. The bracelet on this isn't original. I actually bought a vintage Casio bracelet because I thought that would complement it very well, and it's the same sort of style as you saw on the Timex. Right, so in Homescreen you have the days of the week at the top here, and there's a little bit there, little icon above the day of the week, and there is on Monday. This little box here will be the icon for the alarm, and there is the obvious with the time. Note that it's in 24 hours, but you can change this to AM and PM, and it's done in a very unusual way, which I will come back and show you. There is a bit of a backlight, and I must say that it is pretty useless. It just flickers like an old candle. Now the button up the top here with a press, if I can get that right, will show you the date, and there is the 12th, the month, December, and showing you the date, and it actually comes up with date there. Just do that again, and like so. And the bottom button here shows you the alarm, and that's all you get. Well, almost. I can actually, from the home screen, by pressing these two buttons together, if I can do that behind the viewfinder, I can actually set the alarm icon on. Now if I was to hold these buttons in for a bit longer, I can actually get the alarm to tone or to melody, and then release. It comes off like this. So what I do, I'm just going to set it so that the icon is off. That is what you have in the home screen. So now for the modes. So the first mode is a stopwatch, and you've got a lot of indication up here blinking away. Fortunately, there isn't anything to tell you what each does. So if I press this button up here, it starts the chronograph. It's counting 1/100th of a second, and this will count up to 1 hour or 60 minutes. and this button down here does the lap. I just press that, and now these icons here, this one here is flashing, and that one is still flashing. So if I start it, you can see that this icon here is flashing where Sunday and Saturday is, and when I press that, I've now got the Thursday flashing. Very, very odd indeed. If I press the stop, I have all three flashing. Now I press the bottom button here, and it zapped through all through the reset it as well. So yeah, I think it needs a little bit of playing around there. So let's start that. Let's put it on the lap. Let's stop it. Let's get that third icon. There it is. There's the third icon. Now let's do it very quickly. Right, there's your first lap time, and there it is, reset. Yeah, it's a little bit fiddly. Then pressing the mode button goes straight back to the home screen. Now let's press the mode again. There's the stopwatch. Press again, and now it has the alarm, and it's just flashing away, so I can adjust this. Now if I just skip past and go to the mode again, I can now adjust the minutes, and then pressing again, it goes back to the home screen. So let me sort of just go through the time there. So as soon as I start pressing up here, it's already set the alarm automatically. And then once it's set, you can use this button here actually to toggle between. So it's all very sort of back to front compared to the Timex. And then once it's set, you just press the mode and it comes back like so. So if I go through the mode and I go to where the flashing time is, so there is the seconds, pressing the bottom button down here, I get the minutes, and then I get the hours, and then I get the date, I get the month, and then it's back to the seconds. Now let me just show you this. Now it's flashing on the hours. So if I forward this, and when it gets to 12, there you go. It's now AM. And what happens, it actually cycles all the way through AM, and it goes through PM, and then you can hold it down and it will go through very quickly. It does have that sort of fast, but that was the little repair I did on this watch, so I think I need to get back in there. So now it's gone back into the 24 hours, and you saw it go very quick there. So right, there you go. So I still need to play around with that button. I need to open it up, and I need to fix that. But you get the idea that you can swap between the 24 hours AM and PM, and it actually did come up with the AM and PM icon, which is very cool. So once that's set, it's just pressing the mode button. That is the melody on this one sorted. Now I've saved the ZEON till last because this is just incredible. Now I'm not exactly sure what year this is. I mean, is it late 70s, early 80s? Is it early 70s? Now it does have that sort of style about it. It does have acrylic crystal as well, so there is a few little marks on there. Maybe I shall polish that out. Again, this was a watch fair find, and it wasn't working, and yes, I managed to get the battery in there, and it was a little connector on the battery that wasn't working, and with a little bit of Watch Up 69 magic I got it going. And it is another brass case that's been chrome plated, and the design on this one is very, very unusual with those very square sort of lugs, and you can see the brass popping through on those very small buttons. What is the measurement on this one? I must say these is a new sort of calipers I bought. They were vernier gauge, and this is with the carbon plastic. And I just want to show you that when it's off, as soon as you open it, it automatically switches on. So anyway, this beats the metal one I had. So the width on this one is 32.1, and this one is the fattest at 9.1 millimeters. Now, I'm not sure if this is sitting on the original bracelet, but it definitely is sort of that vintage. And again, it has this sort of little fold over clasp. The back case is brushed stainless steel, and it has the numbers 3064. Now, with a little bit of searching, I actually found out that the 3064 is for this model. Well, where do I begin? Well, let me just kick off. First of all, this has 16 melodies, and yeah, let's just sort of think about that. 16 melodies. Well, I shall go through them all in a moment. Anyway, this has an analog with the ticking second hands, and look how accurate it is. If you're listening, Tissot, look at that. That's how you do it, actually hitting every marker. Here you have a little display here. I shall come back to this. Will eventually be filled up with the modes, and here you have the day of the week with Monday. There it's written the date, so it's the 9th, and I have the time. So this one has a backlight, and again it is a flickering candle, and it's completely useless, but hey, it's still there. And this button here is advance, so we know what the advance is. Stop, start. This button here does the lap, reset and set, and then you have the mode button there. So from the sort of home screen, I've just done the light. Let me show you, when I press these two buttons here, once I get a little icon down here. Now this is for the alarm, so the alarm icon is on, and if I press again, it now swaps over, and it has this sort of hourglass. I like this icon, and this is for the hourly signal. And if I was to press again, I have both. And you saw some animation come up there. I will come back to that. Now if I hold this down, and there is the first one. So sit back and enjoy, and I shall take you through all 16. So next is going through the modes. So pressing the mode button is the dual time. And how do I know? It's because it has this little icon of an airplane in the first of these boxes. The analog time is now my dual time, and the digital time here is my home time. Now I can very easily adjust this by pressing this button here. I can adjust the hour, I can adjust the minutes, and then pressing again comes back out the adjustment. So if I wanted to adjust the hour, there it is flashing. It's the bottom button there, so that's on the 10th hour, and there's the 11th, and there's the 12th. Let's go to the first hour. Pressing again, I now have the minutes, so I can do these a minute at a time, or I can hold my finger down and it will forward like so. There it is, catching up with the second hand. And notice that the hour hand will reset itself. Very cool. So I'm just coming down to 20. There it is, bang on 20, reset that, and now that is lined up perfectly from the sort of dual time. The next one is the alarm. This is set on 00, and if I press this here, I get to change the hour. So there it is, 1 hour, 2, 3, 4. Well, you get the idea, don't you? So I have it on 8 there. And notice as soon as I started to adjust, the little icon for the alarms come on, and now I can adjust the minutes. So it is all very simple like so. And then just press the top button there and it's now set. You can't turn this icon off, you can only turn it off in the home screen. So from alarm, I have the countdown timer. Now this is one of my favorite features apart from the melodies. So how do you adjust this? You press the bottom button here, you press it once, and there is 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, 4, and it goes on. Hold it down and now it's accelerating. Now this is a 60-minute timer, so when you're ready you press the start up here, bang, and now you get the counting seconds on the outside and the minutes remain like so. That is really cool. So you just stop it like so, press the bottom and it resets. So let's hear what it sounds like with the 1 minute, and there straight away the little minute icons vanished and now it's down to the seconds. So let's play this out. Okay, down to the last 5 seconds, and this is what it sounds like. See the little bit of animation there? And it will play one of the songs, and this is just random, so every time the alarm goes off you'll get a different melody, and on average the melodies last for about 20 seconds. And to turn the melody off is just press the backlight. I like the little icon in the timer, it's actually a little clock. Anyway, from timer going on to the next mode is the stopwatch, and now I have a little running man here. So it's just a start stop, nice and simple, and there is the 100 seconds going mad. It's counting seconds, it will count minutes, and it will count to hours, and I haven't got a clue of how many hours, but anyway, there it is. And I like how the analog display here, or the analog time, is showing my home time. So it's just a simple start stop, and then you have a lap, and it actually comes up with lap there, and the icon is still flashing. If I was to stop that, the running man stops. And then that's my first lap time. By pressing this button is my second lap time, and then it's reset. From stopwatch, pressing the mode, I'm now able to adjust the main features in home screen. And note that the seconds is flashing down here. Also on the analog display, it's flashing the seconds. And here I can reset it. Here I can do the adjustments. So I'm just going to wait for it to pass the 1 minute there. Just let it go past a few seconds. So when I press that, watch it reset. There it goes back to 0, and that's also to 0. Pressing the top button here will adjust the next one, which is the minutes. Again, I've got the minute hand flashing on the analog side and the hours as well flashing. So this is all tied up. And then pressing again, I now have the date I can change, and pressing again I can change the month. And then I have the day of the week. There's the Monday flashing, and then it goes back to the seconds, and then it's just a matter of pressing the mode. So the thing is once you start going through the modes, you have to go all the way through to the end, including that adjustment. Now for the quirk of this watch, and probably one of a kind. I've not seen this actually happen on any other watch, so this could be a first. Now I need to take you back to the stopwatch. Now let me start the stopwatch. There it goes. And let me take a lap time. So the lap is now on 16.6 or 6.16. Now if I come out of that, normally when you go into the home mode and then you go back into the stopwatch has come out of lap and it's still running. Watch this. It is still on the lap and it's still counting. So if I was to stop that, now the running man is stopped. I've now got my second split time. What happens when I come back into the home screen? Let's go back into the stopwatch. And there it's still where it left off. And if I press this button here, so that's my first lap time, there's my second lap time, and then it's reset. Now that has got to be a first. There isn't any G-Shock that does that. I've tried them all, and I've tried every single watch I've had also in my collection, and all of them reset as soon as you go back into the home screen. So ZEON, you could be the first and probably the last. So I hope you like that little bit of melody. And do you have a favourite? Do you like the very, very cheap and basic? Do you like the one that I first bought when I was in my early teens? Or do you like this unusual piece here with the 16 melodies? So that's the time. That's the melody time. And as always, thanks for watching.